So we'll first of all start by creating a file size of 1500 by 1500 pixels and a resolution of 300. Okay, so every other thing RGB color mode, and we click create. Okay, so as usual we always unlock the layer as a ritual on Photoshop. Okay, so just as I said earlier that the tutorial will be divided into three parts: the background, the image, and the text. So we'll be starting with the background. So we'll be creating a solid purple background. So click on this icon and we'll click on solid color. Then we fill that with some rich purple of 36004B. Alright, and hit on OK. Okay, that is good. Alright, so back to my design. So we'll create a rectangle shape for the footer. So we have this one first of all, and just fill that with a simple white of F8, F8, F8 3 times. Okay, remove the outline. Alright, then you pick your pen tool now, create a new layer, pick your pen tool, click, drag, and like that. So click, then come to the second place, click and drag, and hold Alt on this anchor point here, then click on it so it breaks that down. Then just hold shift on your keyboard, click down, click left, and close this guy. So fill that guy with the same F8, 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 remove the outline. So on your layers, take this guy under the rectangle, then also Ctrl T, bring that guy down almost like this. Alright, good. We are good. Okay, so for the next step we'll be doing on this layer where we have the solid fill, create a new layer directly on top of it. Then pick your brush tool, and we'll be using a dark brush right now. So we just want to give it just a little bit of depth. You know the way I do things on this channel. Okay, so increase your size, then just reduce your flow and opacity just a little bit. Alright, okay, so increase the brush some more, so it will be at the edges. So this corner, that's too much, so reduce the brush a little bit. So at this corner and at this corner, just something subtle like that. Alright, if it's too much you could always play with your opacity. You get. So create a new layer. Then we are using a brighter shade of purple now around this point. So I think I should have a color code for that. So just go on B, stay on that B. So BE2DDB. Okay, very bright, right? So with your brush around this point, just tap now. Let's increase our opacity and flow like that. So tap around this point and reduce your brush a little bit and tap around this point. Then change your blend mode to something around screen and just reduce the opacity and feel just a little bit. We don't want it to ring so loud. You get. If you're not satisfied, you could still scale it some more, something like that. Alright, so we are good. We're almost done with this process. Then the last thing we'll be doing for now, okay, the last two things we'll be doing for now is first of all create a highlight on top of this guy. So create a new layer, pick your pen tool again, come here, click and click here, then drag at this point. Let's do that again so we can see my screen very well. So you click and click at this point, you just drag a little bit. Alright, so still hold Alt, just break this anchor point, then come and fill this guy up. Then fill this guy with a white and remove the outline. Yeah, so come to your blend mode and change that guy to soft light like this. You could scale this guy down. Yes, good. Then at this point reduce your opacity around 20 something and flow same number like that. Yeah, so I think this is fine. Then come to this tool here, this Windows property window. If you don't have that, come to Windows, then look for property, then click that, then yours will come out. So when you're at property windows, come to feather and just increase the feather so it kind of blend a little bit with our background. All right, then create a layer mask on that layer. Right, then pick your brush tool and black selected as your color, just clear off a little bit so it kind of blend with your background. So with that done, you could duplicate that guy, Ctrl J. Could duplicate that same guy, Ctrl J, then Ctrl T, and rescale this guy or reposition this guy around this point, so you have it like 2. You get, so you could reduce that one's feel a little bit so it doesn't get so pronounced. All right, good. So the last thing we'll be doing to this guy right about now is to create a noise effect for it. So to do that, there's a shortcut for it. I always mess this shortcut up. Control alternate, and no, that is to create the document. So Control Shift N, yes, Control Shift N, Control Shift N, Control Shift N, Control Shift N. I think I've memorized that now. Okay, so on this part where you have your mode, change that from normal to overlay, or soft light, overlay, soft light, overlay, soft light, overlay. Then fill with overlay neutral color 50% gray. Mark this box, just check that box. All right, then click on OK. Good. So we have this layer there. So convert that layer to a smart object so you can play with it after now. In case you don't like the effect, then go to filter, go to noise, and add noise. Yes. Okay, I think the last noise I added was 7. So let me check on uniform. All right, I like uniform. Uniform noise is like a consistent noise. Can a noise be consistent? But uniform noise is a consistent noise, so I really like it very well. So I go on 8% amount, then uniform, then monochromatic, and I hit on. Okay, monochromatic means the noise is one color fill, one color using the grades and tints of that color to create the noise. All right, so when you zoom in, you see that guy. It's filling our background for us. That's really nice. It's a good filler. Yes, I'm happy about it. So officially we are done with the background. It's time to play with other part of the tutorial. So one thing I try to teach in this tutorial, in this channel every time, is how to confidently create stuff from scratch. I purposely do that. I create designs from scratch, and it's sometimes time consuming, but I have full control over everything, and it's fun to me. Whenever I want to change anything, I can easily change. So let's get back to the tutorial. It's not it's not a commercial. So we'll be writing the brand name by the left side of the design, since we'll be having our image by the right. So create a new layer with your type to selected. We click on this part, then we just write Cathy. So it's a big brand that sells fashion wears. Did a project for them recently, and when the people saw the design, they wanted to see my process while creating it. All right, so we'll scale that guy up until around 34. So the font we'll be using is not Tahoma, we'll be using Adoha. It sounds like an Igbo name in Nigeria. So we'll not be leaving it this whole the letters are all too spaced between them. So we'll shrink that guy down to, okay, let's take this guy back to auto. Yes, so we shrink this guy, the line kenning, to -75. Very huge. All right, so also click on this guy so he gets false bold. All right, so okay, now we'll be doing so many things to the text, but before then, let's just reduce the space between the brand name. Okay, I think that's good. 32 points. Okay, so we'll be styling up this text so it looks very, very beautiful. So we'll be going to FX, or you can just double tap on your layer. So let's click FX so everybody can easily follow. Then blending option. So first off, we start with gradient overlay. No, we are not working with a gradient overlay. So we'll be working with a cream gradient overlay. So we'll start from the left hand side. We'll start with a very light cream. You get. Then we will now move to a darker cream. So that will be the transition. So the color code is F2E0A1. So hit on OK. So for the second part, just click on color and you put E1 B456. Okay, so that's a darker cream or yellow, whichever one you call it, or mustard color. Okay, and I hit on OK. Yeah, so it's moving at an angle of 0 degree from left to right. All right, so that's good. So the next thing we'll be adding is satin to give some effect to this guy. So the satin will be a light cream color again, or a mustard, or whatever thing you call it. F9 F2C6. Okay, so that very clean color. So the opacity will be around 90, then the distance 50, and the size 80. So if I zoom this guy, you really see it's just a subtle effect. You see, so that guy that's happening inside of my text. So I keep that guy on 80, so it doesn't get so much pronounced, because I'll be adding another effect though, which is the inner glow effect. All right, so that guy will be on white, FFF 6 times, then opacity around 45, just like it's there, and size around 13. So if I turn off the inner glow, you see it's affecting the text from the edges, so it's like glowing from the edges of the text inside the text. It gives you this super interesting feel. I really like it so much. All right, now the last thing we'll be doing here is to add a stroke to it, and the stroke will make the text stand out some more and looks very, very interesting, trust me. So I add a stroke, and the size of the stroke will be just 1 pixel center of the text. We will not be using a dark color, we'll be using a very bright color, like a light cream. So we'll be using F8 ABB9. Okay, so hit on OK. Now you ask me, why did I use a light color? If you see the edges now, because of the light color, let me copy this so we can always alternate it. Okay, let's do like this. Now if I slide downwards, see the stroke is no more visible, it's no more pronounced. But once I go upward, you see the stroke starts to ring out the text some more, giving the text this bold, strong, interesting, beautiful feel. But once it's down the color with a darker shade, it doesn't ring out. So that's why I'm using a light shade for it. So some of you that keep asking me, why did you choose this color? Why did you choose this color? So these are the reasons why I choose these colors. So I need a color that will stand out on my background. Do you get? So that's why I choose this kind of colors. All right. So I told you stroke is the last thing that will hit on. Okay. So that guy is good. So trust me, as usual, I always, whenever I'm designing, I always go back and forth touching one or two things. So one of the things I think I'll touch is my noise. I think it's kind of too loud, so I'll take it up 6. Yes. Yeah, because as I zoomed that time, I knew something was looking off. Then another thing I'll touch is these two shapes I did here. So this guy and this guy. So just hold shift and mark the two of them. Ctrl T to scale. Hold shift on your keyboard, then drag this guy down like this, then reposition this one. Okay, good. And hit on this guy to commit your changes. You can see slide this on YouTube. So I'm just trying to, I don't know, it was kind of looking strange. So I think, let me see. Okay, so let's just go down back to, there's a kind of feel I expect from it, and if I'm not getting that feel, I just know something is wrong somehow. So take this one down to, so it doesn't look too pronounced like before. So take this one. Okay, that's already there. Okay. I think I like how it's looking now. So we can continue. So with this guy settled, we can now start creating the image by the right. Because the reason I created this brand name is so that I can see, so I can scale properly my image against the main text. The main text is Katy Berry's collection. Now this is a design principle I'm trying to explain. The principle of scaling. So I wrote the brand name first off, so when I start creating my image here, I will use the size of this text to scale my image properly, so I can balance them up well. So that's that. I told you that the tutorial will be divided into 3: the background, the text, and the image. But I created the brand name first, so I could easily scale my image properly by the right, so it looks balanced. Do you get me? So now we'll be creating our image by the right, and after that process, we'll fill up the other text of the design and we are done with it. Easy peasy. So let's quickly do some grouping. So this guy, we click here and we hold shift on our keyboard and click this rectangle, then Ctrl G to group. Alright, so just call that guy PG background. Right click and give it violet. So that's the background. So this guy, just also group and call this guy text. So we'll put the rest text here. You could just give it a yellow. Good. Now let's insert the images. So file, place, embedded, and we double tap this guy. Alright, so scale down, just push to the right. We'll do proper scaling later. Okay, so open this guy, drag this guy. So this guy has to go underneath this mannequin, has to go under. I always call this guy. So this mannequin has to go underneath the footer. Alright, so drag that mannequin under that shape, this layer. Yeah, yes. So we could group this one and call them footer. I think let's pull them out from the background. Yes, so the background stands alone. Alright, so this is the background, this is the mannequin, and this is the footer. Okay, good. Alright, so just click on your text and just take a little bit to the left. Okay, beautiful. So let's continue. Then the next image, file, place, embedded, and this guy. Alright, so right click and flip horizontal. Yes. Alright, was that it? I know I had that image too. Let's take this guy out. Let's see. File, place, embedded. I think it's the second one. Okay, yeah. So right click and flip horizontal. So this is the image we'll be working with. So just scale that guy down a little bit. Just a little bit like that. So this image goes behind the mannequin. So it's as if the mannequin is in a boutique and we have some clothes behind her. Yes, the mannequin is a female because she's wearing female dress. So we have some clothes behind her. So I think that looks beautiful. Okay, so another thing we'll quickly do, we'll create a shape in front of the mannequin. So just a small rectangle shape like this. Alright, something like this. So just feed that guy currently with purple. We'll tune that guy later, so you could pick a purple around this point and just hit on OK. Alright, so pull that guy above the footer because it will help our other images stand out. So that was the reason I used that guy. So also give some box radius. I think around 20 pt is fine. Okay, so at this point let me save my file. Ctrl S for save and just name this guy Typography. Alright, so do same Typography design and hit on save. Okay, so a very quick explanation. So I kind of figured out that if my images just sit on my footer, they will definitely look much more interesting to the viewers. So I had to kill this idea and did some visual play. So I pulled out my images from any frame, made them sit on my design just to give some striking attention to my viewers. You get? So that was why I went with this. So at this point I'll just quickly pull in those other items they sell. So file, place, embedded. I'll just like they sell perfume, shoes, and wristwatches and bag. Okay, I can only drop those one by one. So let me place the bag first of all. So using my AI tool, I click on any of these two here, then click on select subject. So the AI quickly spins and selects my bag for me. Then I could just quickly look at it and refine it. Then go to select and marks, then does the work for me. You get? So very quickly, will not spend so much time doing that. Just hit on OK and click on layer mark so it goes away the background. just scale this guy downwards. Just, it's very quick, so you just get the idea, and you could go do something like this. You see the design process, and you could create that on your own. All right, so place another item, they sell perfumes. So just scale this guy. So some of the images came without their background as PNG, some came with little background and stuff. So place another thing, they sell wristwatch. So the reason for this is, so at first glance you could easily tell, okay, this person is or this brand rather sells this, they sell this, they sell this. So this is one good way to make marketing designs. So at quick glance, without asking questions, without reading too much of our services or what we sell or what we buy or whatsoever, you could easily get an idea of what that brand sells or they are into. You get. So that's the reason for this. Okay, so they also sell shoes. So we could just, so I had the shoes behind the bag. You could rename every of these images so you could tell which is which. All right, so when we finish putting an image, to give you that realistic feel, you start to add shadows and highlights. But I will not be adding highlights, and we only add shadows. Get, so you just get the idea, because it's not really a, before you see that, you have to zoom and zoom. So if I spend too much time also adding highlights, okay, so I'll only be adding shadows to it, a little bit light effect just to play around with stuff. All right, so that will be done quickly. So I'll show you how to add the first shadow, and I'll quickly do the rest. But before then, let's remove this shadow that the shoe came with. Let's take it to this place so we see it very clearly. So let's take away that shadow so we can put our own shadow. Do you get my point? As usual, my AI tool, select subject, so it spins and select my shoe, then select and marks, and it goes away very quickly. All right, then hit on OK and layer marks, then put that guy back to where it was. So it's looking, so me and making things look so perfect. Let's do Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Okay, so let's just I don't like the way the AI selected the base part of the shoe, so let me do that myself. Oh no, wrong. Let me reselect that place so it doesn't chop into the sole of the shoe. Do you get me? Trying to fix that guy. I like when things look very nice. Oh yes, better now. So I hit on OK and click on layer marks so that guy goes away. Then put him again, or put the shoe again in where our images are. Okay, it's looking nicer now. So let's create some quick shadows for every of these guy. And I really like the bag. It's red. It complements our manicure dress. Wow, sweet. And you know, for complementary colors, red really does very well on purple. It gives this loud sharp on purple. Okay, so time to put some shadow. Let's first of all turn on our ruler to Ctrl R just to get some ruler, so we can do some more scaling. Then take this guy just up a little bit. I want this guy to also come up a little bit. Alright, so my bar gets bigger, get pronounced, so the red does some interesting thing down there. So I want to catch my audience with my visuals. You get, so I'm trying as much as possible to make that possible before I put my shadows on every of these items, right? So let's go quickly. Shadows, and you know the way we do shadows here, we pick our brush tool. So let's start with the perfume. Under it, just create a layer under it. Pick your brush tool. So pick your brush to scale this guy a little bit. Press D on your keyboard or click on this guy to reset your color palette. Alright, so I click, and on this particular node, just click downwards like this till you have this guy shrink to this point. Okay, So you could also reduce your opacity just a little bit and your flow just a little bit. Then reduce your brush by pressing the left bracket on your keyboard, or you right click and you reduce the size by dragging this guy. Alright, so come here and tap once. Cool. Just do Ctrl Z. Let's increase the opacity just a little bit, like 93, and the flow like 78. Okay, so let's do it again. Good. So switch back to your move to click on the watch. So create a layer on that guy. So we also give it some shadow like this. Alright, no, it's too far. It's as if it's floating. Good. So also on the shoe, so it's not something very, very serious. We are not doing very realistic shadow for the shoe. So just increase your brush a little bit and damp, come here and damp, not something serious, remember. So also for the, so I'm switching from my brush tool to my move tool, so I can click on the item, see it on my layer panel, then create a new layer, put it under it, and create my shadow for it. Do you get? Alright, so very quickly we are done with those guys. So we could group all the images, so that, oh wow, they are in our text group. So click on the first image, scroll down, and right, hold shift, then click on this and group. Call these guys images.
So right now we're having the text under the categories collection. Okay, so the text was written with Poppins. The font name is Poppins. So I'll speed up the video at this point. Then let's go ahead to create the box where we have our features, like what we sell. So I create a new layer. I select my rectangle tool. Alright, select my rectangle tool, and I just make a quick click and drag around this point. Something not that big, just small. Still do some rearrangement. So I remove the outline and give it a few color of a yellow around ECD 583. Okay, and hit on OK. Alright, also give it a rounded corner radius around this place of 20. So once this guy is selected, any number you type in here, we apply to the 4 corners. So every corner is 20 pixels around the corner radius. Okay, so let's just take this text up a little bit so we can have some space. Oh, they are connected. Let me pull out the image from that group. Just take them, take the footer underneath. Perfect. So now I can take my text group up. Alright, it doesn't get in the way. So it also increases one. Hold shift and so hold shift and shrink a little. Just take it up just a little, and make sure it's aligned to the left. You see that line around that point? You can use your ruler also to check if yours is not showing that measuring line. Alright, cool. So next we apply some effects to this rectangle shape. So go to FX, or we'll double tap on this free space. So let me just double tap. Every of these things is to learn how to work faster when you catch Photoshop. Okay, so the first effect we are applying is the inner glow. So we are using a white color, a full white, FFF6F. Alright, so we take the opacity down to around 45%. Alright, and size around 13. Just a subtle inner glow. When you zoom in, you see it very clearly. So the next thing we're applying is satin, and we'll use a light cream. So the color code for that is F9 F2C6. Alright, just a very light cream. So we change the blend mode to multiply. Okay, so you see the effect, it just changed immediately. Let's turn it off. And so when we finish up, the opacity is low, that's why it's not that visible. So we'll pop the opacity down to 90. Right, so you notice now it's not visible. See it at the center part of the rectangle. So afterwards, we also play with the distance a little. So we'll just take the distance. Okay, yes, 50 is fine, and we'll take the size to around 80. So we have something subtle like that. See, not too obvious. And the last thing we'll do is a gradient overlay. So initially the color I filled it with doesn't really matter. Sorry. So we'll just have a subtle gradient overlay that moves from left to right. And so the angle should change to 0. So it moves from left to right. So for the left side, we'll have a white or an ash rather, D7, 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 like an ash. Okay. Then on the right, we have that cream now. So E1, B4, 5, 6. Yeah. So more of a yellow. This is something like this, very strong. So I could just hit OK here. Then slide this one a little bit to the left. Okay, cool. So I hit on OK. Perfect. Very perfect. So let me also just pull up the feature text. Let me shrink this guy a little. Let me pull up the feature text and have them around. Good. So at this point, I'll speed up the video. So I just popped up the original design. So this is the one we are working on, and this is the original design. So for this bottom part, the same idea applies for what we did up here, this rectangle here. But instead of the 20 pixels we use for the rounded corners, use something much more greater, around 50 to 60, to have these seriously looking or more rounded corners. So when you do that, you create a rectangle, a circle shape, and you have your icon in there. And also you still apply the satin inner glue and the rest, like what we did for this guy here. Same thing, also have a text here, give it in poppins and 7pt with a medium size, a medium weight rather. Same thing, a text here with poppins, 7pt, the medium weight, having a circle with an icon, right? So I'll just skip the video and pop these guys to my new design while I show you how I create this and the overall lighting on the design. So at this point we put our golden seal. So I made a custom golden seal cross file, place embedded, and golden seal. Yeah. So just we scale this guy down a little bit. You should always know that at every point in your design you keep readjusting some parts. Like now you see my golden seal and the text, they are fighting for who we show and who we not show. So at this point I should just take the features a little bit up and also take this guy a little bit up. Okay, not so much. Alright. So I could also shift and I move these images a little bit to the right. Okay. So it doesn't really so my golden seal now has some place to breathe. Also move this guy a little bit up and this lady a little bit up. Interesting. Okay, I think I like this now. All right, so my golden seal it was a white text that was written on it, so I didn't really like the way the golden seal was looking. It was all yellow, and if I use white text on it, it may be difficult to read. If you notice, that was the reason I did more of gradients for this, having a darker shade of yellow and a lighter shade of yellow. Watching this now, I think I still need to move this gradient a little bit to the left. Yes, much better. All right, so stuff like that. So also on the golden seal, what I did to fix mine was I added another layer on top of the golden seal layer. So I created a new layer, choose my shape tool, selected the ellipse tool. All right, then drew a perfect circle inside the golden seal. All right, so I removed the outline and added a few color of purple because I wanted it to rhyme with my overall design. So it's 2E004. Yes, okay, so that purple, but I also played a little bit with my opacity around 90, 92 is fine, then fill around 70 something, I think. All right, I think that's good, but let's keep at 80. So it just gives it that feel for me to now put the text on it. So I copied the text from the initial design, which is 100% quality. All right, and the text was actually written with Aloha, the font we used for Berry collection. So if you notice, around the design we only use two fonts, and if you can mention them, one is Aloha, the second one is Poppins. So we didn't do 3 or more fonts. No. So the reason why we chose just two fonts was to keep the design simple, because once you start throwing in 3 or more fonts, start to make the design look all busy, scary, and disorganized. So it's always advisable, expert advice, to keep your font minimum of 1, maximum of 2. For some people that can control the pressure, you can now go for 3 fonts. And there are some designs I use 3 fonts. For this design, we are keeping it at 2. And the last thing we are doing to round up this design is to introduce our light effect. So on this layer, the rectangle layer, we go to File, Place Embedded, and we choose the lens flare. All right, so we just scale this guy down and towards that position. So it's having the black background, and if you have been on this channel for long, you know the next thing we'll do, we'll go to blend mode and we'll change that guy to screen. Every blend mode from lighting down to lighter color takes away the black from the background and blends it with the design background. So we are using screen for that guy, and we are not just leaving it at that. We are also reducing a little bit of the saturation. So we go to adjustment layer and hue and saturation, and we just pull down the saturation slider. Wait, let's clip this guy just to light. So you click on that icon, then we drag this guy down to around minus 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So it reduces the saturation a little bit from the color 1. So you could just highlight this guy and this guy, the hue and saturation layer and the lens flare rather. You group, then Ctrl J to duplicate that. So Ctrl G to group, Ctrl J to duplicate, Ctrl T to transform, T for table. All right. So scale this guy, rotate this guy like this, and pull that guy down to where we have the golden seal, so the golden seal can shine. You know what is a gold that doesn't shine? It's a crazy gold. So that's the reason for that. Right? Interesting. And I think I omitted something much earlier. On this statue, I didn't give the statue a shadow, so it's not casting a shadow down on our clothes. So it's just looking as it's floating on the air. So I'll fix that right now. Let me scale this statue a little bit bigger. Yes, good. Alright, Now, so we just double tap to access our FX. No, not that one. So we double tap on our statue to access our FX. All right, and come to drop shadow. So just increase the opacity so you see what you are doing, so you don't be guessing and assuming. Okay, for people like us, we can boldly do it without. So at this point, I can now take my drop shadow down a little bit. So it has. So when you turn off that, you notice it's missing. When you turn it on, you notice the drop shadow. I think let me just increase that a little bit, so you cannot look over. 17 is fine. Okay, interesting. I like this. Yes, fantastic result. That's it. As simple as that. So at every point when you are done with the design, you could always go back and double check stuff you can fix, stuff you can rearrange. This light, let me take it off out of that group. So it's inside the features group. That was why it moved. So I pulled it out of that group. Alright, so I can move it alone. So at every point when you are done with the design, do the last check before you ship it to the client. Don't just ship. First of all, check and be sure that stuffs are fitting properly. Alright? Okay. So guys, with that we come to the end of today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it the way I did. Many times when creating these designs, they're fun, but when they start getting you frustrated, they are not as fun again as they ought to seem. But that's reasons why these tutorials are here, so I can always guide you through the creation process. So I'll implore you to subscribe to the channel, also turn on the bell notification so you get notified whenever I drop tutorials like this. Tutorials that can help you level up your Photoshop game and your design game generally. Like, comment, share, tag your friends, tell your friends about the channel. And with this, I see you on the next tutorial. Send the love from Lagos, Nigeria.